brother, back at you with another talk in the new year. 2024 is upon us. Drago Bosnic is back. I figured I'd start the year off with a regular, familiar face. How you doing, Drago?
I'm great. Thanks for asking, and I'm really glad to be here once again.
As always, it's the not so weekly roundup of news articles that you've written after my 2-week Orthodox New Year's Christmas break. And as usual, we've got a couple of memes. Everybody who's new here, hi, welcome. This is a comedy show. Nothing here has anything to do with reality. Drago, shall we get into the memes first, or shall we do? Let's do a meme first. Let's do a meme because I know some people here are just like here for the memes. This was sent in by a subscriber. Things are not looking good in Ukraine, are they?
Yeah, pretty much.
They say they want Patriots from Japan.
Yeah, this is, well, we could say this is like old news. This is so last year's, right? News. Jokes aside, yeah, this is essentially like an article about what the Japanese are trying to do, which is to send like parts. They say parts of the Patriot system, which then will be reassembled in Ukraine. And as we know, Japan has a high-tech industry which could, like, just produce most of the American weapons, at least like those conventional weapons. And they decided to help Ukraine. I guess they really want to, get the Russian green men coming to their country. I guess they're very, very keen on that.
The Japanese, man. The self-defense Japanese forces have been not so self-defensy in recent times. I don't know. I don't like Japan. I never liked Japan. But I'm
I mean,
racist.
I don't hate them, obviously, but like they don't have they don't have a horse in this race, right? Like they could just, keep it quiet, keep it to themselves, and like not get involved against other countries with nuclear weapons because that didn't end very well the last time. So why would I want that again?
Yeah, what can I say? I just want to take this second to thank people who've bought me a coffee. Uh, Everybody's bought me coffee so far. Thank you. It powers the show. And the saga still continues. I still haven't actually withdrawn any money from there. But I do appreciate all the support, including the shares. Yeah, so the Russian green men were hitting, what was this? Staro-Konstantinov airbase?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. This is the old Soviet era air base, and it was built in such a manner that it could actually withstand a lot of punishment, especially in terms of like high explosive bombs and missiles and so on. And it was assumed at the time that the first F-16s and some other American and NATO-made weapons were actually stationed there. So the Russians decided to pay a visit to the area, which they've built, by the way, during the Cold War, so they know every inch of it essentially. The thing is, like, there aren't that many airfields and air bases where the F-16s could be stationed. Like, it's not exactly a robust airplane that you could just send flying from, I don't know, from a highway or something. It needs like a sophisticated facilities and like a very good airfield from which it could be used. So this is one of the logical places where the F-16s could potentially be stationed. And then the Russians hit this area, and I've heard some speculation. I can't confirm this, obviously, that
Hmm.
some F-16s were already there in parts. The Russians just made them into a little bit smaller parts, I guess.
um, it's good to have you back on for the new year because you get this is a comedy show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna need some higher level reassembly after the Russians edited
Yeah.
the constituent parts. Let's move on to some more current quote unquote things. January 18th, it is the 18th today as we record this, so this is like today's news.
Yep.
Zelensky refuses to give up on peace talks without Russia fantasies. I mean,
It is just exactly what it is in the title. I mean,
Fantasies.
I've been following the WEF, our favorite forum, and these guys are ridiculous. I mean, they're talking about containing Russia, and one of the talks is also like one of the topics is are the peace talk. They like to call them peace talks for some reason, but I'm not sure who they're talking to because Russia is not there, obviously. So it's kind of ridiculous. You know, they talk about their demands for the war to end, but they're not talking to one of the parties to the conflict. So what they're trying to do essentially is they're trying to get the Chinese to do their dirty work for them, like to pressure Russia into signing some sort of a capitulation. I don't know how else to call it. Because what they're demanding is a complete withdrawal from all Ukrainian territories, as they say, which they claim also includes Crimea. So, I mean, they might as well ask for Moscow. I mean, because
Um,
that's what they're getting, right?
we've discussed this ad nauseum, as one would say, and it's looking more and more like this is gonna be like a solution, and even this might turn out to be like a good solution, for the West, the way they're going, because like seriously, they've been pushing their luck for way too long. Um,
Yeah.
Zelensky in peace talks without Russia. What can I say, man? This is it's like the same news every week, except not
It's for the
always.
hundredth time. Like they've been doing that for like 2 years now almost.
You also wrote about this. This is also now old news, but it's rather significant. Why don't you tell us, for the people who've been sleeping under a rock or like watching CNN only?
Yeah.
Um,
This Egyptian journalist uncovered a story about Zelensky's mother-in-law buying expensive villas in a luxurious area on an Egyptian Red Sea resort, and like a few months, I think this was back in August when he uncovered the story, and now like last year in I believe December, he was found dead, like beaten to death, and nobody knows what happened. I guess the SBU and these other guys had nothing to do with it. The guy probably just fell and died. I presume.
yeah, it's Davos working ahead of time.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson's Assange interview makes him the last big name in U.S. journalism. He did an Assange interview. When did he do an
Yeah.
Assange interview? I missed that.
Um,
I was on
at the end
vacation.
of at the end of December, and he released it on his platform. Obviously, you have to be subscribed to see it,
Oh,
but
that's
it's an
why I missed it.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, the Tucker Carlson network, as it's called now, this TCN. I think I wouldn't pay for a subscription from any Western media, to be honest, because it's a waste of money and a waste of time for the most part. However, he does have very interesting shows, and he is like one of the last free platforms. It's one of the last free platforms in Western media, unfortunately, and I mean, they need to finance themselves somehow, so that's why they need this people to pay for subscriptions. But on the other hand, like it is worth it. I think it's worth it to just see something interesting, from time to time, something that you otherwise you couldn't see.
Speaking of things we otherwise couldn't see, let's do a little meme. Everybody knows that this happened. We won't even say, but this was also user follower subscriber submitted on Telegram. By the way, everybody who's new on Telegram, welcome. Hi. That's where the real conversation happens. Also, that's where most of the good memes get shared. Let's see. Oh, this was sent in by. Wait, we'll do that when we get to the AI story. Let's get back to the stories. We've got U.S. NATO Black Ops stabilization
Yeah,
in Serbia and former Soviet Union.
yeah. Essentially, what I
Take it
did
away.
here, I wrote is like a list of all the color revolutions and let's say sabotage operations, which the U.S. and I mean I'm talking about major ones like there are a bunch of other ones which are on a smaller scale. But I mentioned this because of the protests in Serbia during our last election, which turned out to be financed by certain comedy groups from other countries, particularly Western ones. So I decided to mention that and mention what sort of people are helping
You know,
these comedy groups from NATO countries. And one of them is a guy called Sergio Popovic, which was one of the architects of our color revolution. And then he went on to become a major CIA asset in the former Soviet Union. And, you know, he has actually made a tremendous contribution to the Maidan, which happened in Ukraine, as well as in Armenia, in Georgia, in Kazakhstan in 2022, in Kyrgyzstan 3 times in 2010,
are you
2010, and recently.
are you
So,
talking about that guy from Canvas?
yeah, the guy from Canvas, like, I mean, maybe I'm not supposed to say it, but I'm really, really surprised this guy isn't, you know, um,
Solved.
yeah, solved. I guess checking out daisies from the other side, whatever it's the term goes, however the term goes. So
um, that's a good merch idea. We should
yeah,
get a shirt that says solved. Um, yeah, I had a feeling that you were going to bring up the Serbian opposition protests and so on. So I had this handy. Soviet Russian Bear actually shared it on his feed. For those that don't know, these are the Serbian Nazi collaborators, and this is one of the. How would you translate okrivljeni student?
uh,
Um,
I guess indicted student.
yeah, this is one of the indicted students who was one of the protesters. So yeah, um,
However,
fun,
like
fun,
they're
fun
the minority.
opposition.
The bigger problem is the pro-Western opposition, which wants to turn us into a full-blown colony. I mean, they already have a very great amount of control over Serbia, but these guys who protested, they want to turn us into a complete full-blown colony that's going to get dismembered in the next 5 or 10 years completely. I mean, they already
But it's like the
dismembered.
brain chip, man. It's like the brain chip. It makes things easier for you. Like you don't have
Yeah,
to, think about things. Other people think about
yeah,
it for you.
yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly.
yeah. What can I say?
And I'm sure they support that too.
Our next article, that's more or less on the same topic, is the two-front war on Serbia. People keep asking me what's going on in Serbia and what should I expect. Why don't you tell them what's going on in Serbia and what we should all
Yeah.
expect?
Like if they want complete details, I advise people to read the article. But to give you like a rundown of what they're essentially doing is they're trying to dismantle Republika Srpska, which is a Serbian state in that was forced into Bosnia and Herzegovina like almost 30 years ago. They're sending jets, and trying to prevent the Serbian people there from celebrating their own day, which I really don't see like what sort of like a destabilization this would bring to the
Freedom and
country.
democracy, man. Freedom and
Yeah,
democracy.
freedom and democracy, obviously, like freedom and democracy for everyone except the Serbs, obviously. So, um,
Don't be
and
like
and
that.
at
Don't
the
be like
same
that.
time,
Come on, man. Don't be like that. It used to be only the Serbs. Now it's the Serbs and the Russians.
yeah, Serbs, Russians, Arabs, Afghans, all these other like lesser peoples, I guess.
Hmm.
They don't need freedom and democracy, obviously. And at the same time, apart from the pressure on Republika Srpska, where they are talking about get this level of hypocrisy. They're talking about the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Bosnia. I guess that's very important. However, when it comes to Serbia's territorial integrity, well, there are exceptions, obviously. So the exception is called Kosovo, and they are arming them now. Like they are essentially giving them Javelin ATGMs. And the interesting thing is, we've actually given them because of the conventional forces in Europe treaty, where we have to like report on the number of our tanks. We've given them the exact number of our tanks, which is like around 250, and that's the almost exact amount of javelin missiles that they're giving to the Albanians.
It's
Like
good I didn't quit
identical
smoking yet.
explosives.
If
Yeah.
I'd quit
So
smoking, which I'm planning to, this would have pissed me off. But now that I'm not quitting smoking yet, I was gonna say, yeah, no, we told them how many tanks. But what do you have to say about that news that Serbia is rearming and re-upping their arms, and also that we got some what are they called, BTR 80s or 60s or something like that from the Hungarians? What do you make of that in lieu of everything that's going on in the region?
well, I guess like NATO just wants to be ready for any contingency if it happens, that there's going to be a war with Russia on a larger scale. They want to make sure that Serbia never does anything, that they will not like, or at least that's what they're claiming. In reality, what's going on is they want to make sure that we're obedient, that we are compliant with everything they want, and essentially, like, to me, they just don't want to make all the mistakes that the Germans did like 60, 80 years ago, actually. And well, I mean, NATO is the geopolitical descendant of the German-led Democratic Alliance of the mid 40s, so early to mid 40s. So I guess they just want to
I,
learn from all the mistakes their predecessors did. So, and that includes like making sure Serbia isn't ruffled up, when they start an attack on Russia, I guess.
I don't have the meme handy, but I saw one a couple of days ago. There's like a genie and like this little kid, and he makes a wish, and like, what's the wish? The wish is like, let's what would happen in the world if, like, the bad guys won in World War II, and the thing changes, and the genie's like, there you go, and the kid's like, what do you mean? He's like, but like, enjoy your LGBTQ family, like the Nazis did win in a way.
Like there was a very famous Serbian military analyst called Miroslav Lazanski. Well, I'm pretty sure like all Serbs know about him. He died. Unfortunately, he died like now it's 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. He was the last Serbian ambassador in Moscow, and a few years ago, like maybe 5 or 6, he actually wrote an article that's titled "Hitler Won." So, like, it's a very simple title, but what he wrote there, it turned out to be true. And the more like time passes, it's more true than it was before. So it's kind of insane, really, really insane.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have some maps here. This was shared by DD Geopolitics. I'm not a fan, but they exist, so people spam their stuff into my Telegram group. So mapping the countries that recognize Kosovo as a state. All right, everybody's got like a mental image of what that looks like. Countries arming Ukraine, pretty much the same countries. And countries that recognize Palestine as a state, pretty much the opposite. So I just wanted to draw attention to that because somebody sent that into the chat, and like we've been saying here at Working Brother, we being me, myself, and I, the only difference is time between Palestine and what's been happening to the Serbs, like we discussed previously, from Krajina to now.
Yeah.
Speaking of update for everybody who might not know, Serbian dinars are now going to be banned in Kosovo. So that's fun. We'll see where that goes. What do you think? You think we're gonna have a war this year?
Well, I hope not. It's, like I mean, it's unfortunately everything indicates we will. Like everything indicates it's not just going to be a war; it's going to be the war. The one that's going to change the world forever. So
the war to end all wars again, huh?
Yeah, like for the third damn time.
Fourth, I think, if we're counting, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Considering we're being so humorous, let's do like a favorite old topic. There are no Nazis in Ukraine. Just fans of nuts and weird numbers.
Oh, that's weird... the peaceful Buddhist sign.
It's the Indian sign. That's what it is. It's the Indian sign, and just like random numbers and letters. It means nothing.
Exactly.
You're a conspiracy theorist if you think otherwise. All right, we're about halfway through, and we're now into Kiev regime claims proof. It can shoot down a Russian hypersonic missiles. This is like recycled news.
Yeah, this is news, but it's happened again. They literally like showed another alleged part of a Kinzhal missile that they shot down again, allegedly. And I just drew attention. I didn't even have to explain. I explained the physics and how that's essentially impossible. But what I actually did is I just used their own statements where they were claiming that they can't shoot down missiles like the KH-22, which is an old Soviet era missile, which is a fantastic missile, but it's like 5 or 6 times less capable than the Kinzhal. And recently, one of their spokespeople, his name is Yuri Ignat. He's a colonel and like a colonel for the air defense forces of Kiev, of the Kiev regime. And he was complaining recently that they, for nearly 2 years, they haven't shot down a single KH-22. People who are into military, they know what KH-22 is. It's like an air-launched missile that's nearly hypersonic. Its maximum speed is almost hypersonic. It's high supersonic, as they say. So they haven't shot down a single one of those. And this missile is 3 times slower than the Kinzhal. At the same time, while not being able to shoot down this missile, they're claiming they can shoot down up to 10 per day, up to 10 Kinzhals per day. Claiming proof, of course, like showing these, God knows what those are. Like they claim that those are the warheads of the Kinzhal. They seem like some sort of bombs or some cobbled up thing that they claim is the warhead. So this is the sheer illogic of their claims. Like they can't shoot down a 40-year-old missile or a 50-year-old missile at this point, actually, but they can shoot down the brand new hypersonic missile. So if people want to believe that, go ahead.
What can I say, man? It's bananas. Have you seen the bananas thing that's going around? The Ukrainians captured a Somali who was working with the Russians and gave him a banana and made him pose with the banana.
I wonder what that was about. I guess about democracy again?
It must be. But people on Twitter have started to realize that, these kind of things make Ukraine look racist.
But they're not. Come on, man. That's Russian propaganda.
It just looks like it. This we've done. This one was good too. I came across this on Instagram. This is hilarious. If you look close, there's like a rah here. All right, that's enough memes for now. Where's there we go. Yeah, one man show. Don't forget, buy me a coffee, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I like your hate. The hate drives it too. It's good for the algorithm. Keep telling me to stop interrupting my guests. That really tickles my fancy. And my guests love it when my commenters are on their side. London, Paris, and Kiev break arms control regime with recent cruise missile deliveries. Wait, this sounds like a serious thing. This is not like a joke for a comedy show.
Yeah, I mean, this is like this MTCR. It's called MTCR. It's like a sort of like the arms control regime, which prevents countries from delivering, countries that have the technology from delivering it to countries that don't have the technology. And it's the missile technology that allows you to create delivery systems for nuclear weapons. So that includes the prevention of the proliferation of any sort of a missile that has like a 500 or 300 kilometers, more than 300 kilometers of range. And what they did is they sent Ukraine missiles which are almost 600 kilometers in range. So that means like they've essentially doubled the range that Ukraine has. And of course, like the thing is, they've already sanctioned countries for breaking this agreement, but when they're breaking it, I guess that's fine because, democracy. So what this actually does is going to open up a Pandora's box where other countries will now decide, okay, well, if you can send these missiles to Ukraine, well, maybe other countries can send such missiles to their client states or allies on other parts of the world.
What were those Iranian missiles? What were those Iranian hypersonic copies? Were maybe hypersonic? What are they called?
They're
Fatah?
more like the slightly maneuverable ballistic missiles. But anyway, like those Iranian ones can also be sent to Houthis and these other, countries, like for
Or
example Syria
Serbia. Or
or
Serbia.
Serbia. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like Serbia can acquire them. And interestingly, North Korea also has a bunch of such new missiles. They're producing them. They're developing them, so they could also, send them to other parts of the world. So can you imagine what's going to happen
Did
if
you
all
hear?
these countries suddenly start getting, missiles which are like 600 kilometers in range, 1,000 kilometers in range? Like how stabilizing that will be for the world.
Did you hear about Guterres? How he was like, "Oh no, North Korea is not allowed to send weapons." Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
That was hilarious. Um,
But
so
America is America can send any weapons anywhere.
no news here. Just business as usual. The U.S. breaking its own rules book. Latin America
Yep.
finally making united stand against U.S. imperialism.
Yep.
Is it?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. This is specifically about Blinken's visit to Mexico, where he met the AMLO, the Obrador, the Mexican president, and the Americans were asking for help, from the Mexicans to prevent Mexicans from getting into America, instead of like actually, guarding their own border. Now Mexico is at fault. I also reminded people how Lindsey Graham threatened to bomb Mexico because of some, narco cartels that don't work with the CIA at all. So again, it's Mexico's fault, obviously. So the thing is, what Mr. Obrador did, he said, okay, we're going to help you, but first you have to do this, this, and that, and this, and that is, stop the embargo on Cuba and, just withdraw sanctions on Venezuela. So, essentially, the Mexicans want to do it, but only if America, stops harassing Mexico's Latin American neighbors. And that's it. Like, this is what I mean by finally like making a united stand, because this was sorely lacking in the past, where Latin American states would just, accept whatever America is saying, and instead of like getting together and finally pushing back against American imperialism in that area, which could help them, to prevent American destabilization in these countries. So I guess these are the first steps, but it's a long way to go. But they have to start from somewhere, I guess.
On the subject of the U.S. dominance collapsing, could exclusive evidence of Biden's crime family's corruption lead to incumbent's impeachment? Yes, but no.
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, we'll see. I guess we'll see. I mean, it's not going to change a lot because American foreign policy is pretty solid as it has always been, and it's all about spreading democracy and stabilizing the rest of the world. Um, Jokes aside, what I wrote in this article is I analyzed a recent interview that this Ukrainian parliamentarian who's now in Belarus. He had to flee there in order not to get killed. His name is Andrei, or Andriy, if they really want, Derkach. And he was interviewed by American Italian journalist Simona Mangiate Papadopoulos, who actually talked to him. He mentioned some incredible stuff. Like, I've actually published the interview on my Telegram channel, and I've also like made a shortened version in the article, apart from other stuff that I revealed in the article. So I advise people to watch the interview. It's almost an hour long, but the amount of information that this guy gave, it's truly incredible. So I just advise people to watch the interview if they have time. If they don't, they can read the article. It's a faster way. So incredible revelations about what the Biden family actually has been doing in Ukraine for the last 10 years, and what they're still doing, and not just in Ukraine, but in the United States and around the world as well.
Everybody who's a long-time subscriber will be used to the technical glitches and the things flashing up in front of the screen. Yeah. Another pandemic, Drago?
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah. Essentially, what this is about, the first part of the article is about the revelation of Mr. Igor Kirillov, who's the general in the Russian NBC troops. And it's one of the latest briefings that they had about the American biological research facilities, as Miss Newland would say. Mrs. Newland actually would say, revelations about what sorts of goodies the American biological research facilities have for the rest of the world. And almost simultaneously with this briefing, the WEF was talking about the new deadly disease that's going to be 10 times worse than the COVID, which they call the disease X. I guess those two things are completely unrelated.
Like I said, 2024 looks like it's gonna be a fun year. Let's see what else you got. We got another 2 articles here, and then maybe another meme. No food, no future, say the German farmers. Germany manipulating data to hide recession as enraged farmers protest. No, the Germans?
Obviously, they are protesting for no reason. Anyway, what I wrote about in this article is that the latest data on the German economy was supposed to show that they had a recession, or they had a recession last year. However, they manipulated the data and turned 0.1% growth into 0.0, right? So if you have like 2 quarters of negative growth in a year, that means you are in a recession. So what they did is they made sure that the third quarter is 0.0, and the last one from October to December is 0.3. So now magically they're just stagnating. They're not in a recession, right? At the same time, the farmers are protesting because the government is canceling subsidies for diesel fuel. Because they don't have any more money, right? At the same time, they're sending hundreds of billions to the Kiev regime, right? They don't have money for the farmers in Germany, but they do have money for Zelensky, right? So I guess that seems kind of illogical to the farmers, but what do they know? They don't know math.
They're farmers. They're farmers. What do they know about economics?
We don't know anything about the economics. I guess they're just protesting because they're all like, buying into all the Russian propaganda they've been listening for the last 2 years.
It must be Russian propaganda. It's everywhere, the Russian propaganda. But we were the first. We were the first down here to be proud of our Russian propagandists.
They have to get those, fact checkers to get it up a notch, because they're obviously not doing a good job enough, because the Russian propaganda is everywhere, man.
We've got one last article here. Could states banning presidential candidates lead to America's collapse? I saved the best for last, I gotta admit. Tell me, what do you think? Or what did you end up writing?
What I covered in the article, that was the last article I did last year. What I covered is the fact that Colorado banned President Trump from running as for president in 2024. So what happened in response to that, states like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona are contemplating the possibility of banning Biden for running for presidency. So can you imagine if this escalates, turns into like a ripple effect, where you have states banning the candidate that's supposed to win or very likely to win? So now, if this continues, by November, you're going to have 20 states banning Trump and another 25 banning Biden. So, how will this work? If you ban the candidate who could win,
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. The South will win.
Very likely. Although this time it's going to be the middle against the East and the West, against the Western coast.
We've got one final meme. I hope it fits on screen. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, well. In the New Year's address on December 31st, 2023, Schultz, Macron, Zelensky, and Putin all spoke about Russia. This was also sent in to the chat on Telegram. All right. Drago, That was hilarious, as always. Informative.
Yeah.
Just enough to keep it, borderline. Everyone, find me on Telegram if you're there. If you're not, subscribe on here. If you're not already subscribed. Like half of you, more than half of you are not subscribed. I really don't understand why. Like, are you that anonymous? Like, you can't be subscribed to the channel? I don't get it. Everyone, thank you again. Happy New Year to everyone. And Drago, anything to say before we sign off?
Yeah, like try to get as many fact checkers to check all your stories that you're looking and reading, so that you don't get any propaganda and be used like those unlucky farmers.
Yeah, stay away from the Russian propaganda and those starving
Yep.
farmers. Everyone, thank you. Catch you later.